guys, I'm Dr. Chelsea Axe. Today I want to go over with you my whole regimen, what I do personally. Carb cycling is how I eat, what I do for a diet. Now, I've had a lot of you ask questions about what it is I do, why I do it, how it compares to other diets, how it works for me, and even the more specifics of what it is. So I'm going to go through it with you real quick. Just give you a brief overview so maybe you can try it out for yourself and see if it's something that works for you, your body, and your lifestyle. So I do carb cycling personally because it's the best way that I can eat healthy, I can be as lean as I want to be, and I can still enjoy my life. Now, finding those three things in a diet can be really hard to do. A lot of diets require a lot of work on the front end. They require, being super strict. If you're going out with friends, you might have the guilt or shame associated with like what you ordered, or wondering what exactly was all in, the salad, or oh my goodness, there was part of a sweet potato in something. If it's, oh my goodness, is my diet ruined? All the questions and thoughts that go through our heads. Well, the reason I love this diet is because I don't have to deal with that. Now, that being said, you still have to care and you still have to be intentional about what you're going to eat. This isn't like you can eat whatever you want on specific days and you're going to lose weight and your hormones are going to be amazing and everything's great and dandy and you can eat suckers and candy. Not what this is. But it is a good way that you can actually fit your lifestyle into how you're eating, or eating into your lifestyle, actually the other way around. So it's not like you're having to cater your life according to what you're eating. You're fitting how you eat into your actual life, so you can actually live and enjoy your life and not be so consumed with the how-tos. So carb cycle, what I do is I do 2 days where I do low carb, and then I do 1 day of high carb where I do a carb source at each meal. Now this can be changed depending upon who you are. I have a friend of mine, she's an avid CrossFitter, and she does carb cycling, but she actually does every other day. She does 1 day low carb, she does 1 day high carb. This honestly will vary from person to person depending on what works for you, how many carbs, or how much, how active you are throughout the day, what your body needs for glucose, how quickly it stores up its glycogen storages. So it's something you can play with. I personally have found that for me, 2 days of low carb works for me physically as well as mentally. Now, when I say that is, so I do 2 days where I do low carb. And when I do low carb, I do lots of vegetables, lots of, organic proteins and meats, bone broth, and some fat sources. If I'm really hungry, I'll add in some avocado, some healthy, coconut oil when I'm cooking my vegetables, things like that to tide me over. And then on the 3rd day, I will do a carb source at each meal, and I won't do fat that day. So during my low carb days, I do some fat with my meals. During my high carb day, I just do carbs and protein with no fats. So I personally do the 2 carb days because, the average person will burn through their sugar stores at different rates. And for me, I've just found this works better for me. On the 1st day of low carb, I just had carbs the previous day, so mentally I'm like, oh, I can get through today. I'm good. I kind of play mental games with myself to make sure I stay on track. So it's like, oh, I just had carbs yesterday. I'm fine. I can get through today. And by the 2nd day, when I'm feeling a little hangry, I'm like, you know what? Get through tomorrow. Tomorrow you get them. So it's a really easy mentally to stick to it and be consistent. Now, another reason that I carb cycle and that I like this is that I can fit it, again, like I said, into my lifestyle. So what this looks like is, let's say I know I'm going out to dinner with friends on Friday. I can kind of change my eating or plan ahead to make sure that's my high carb day. Now, if that's the case, maybe I go 3 low carb days to make sure that hits on a high day. Or maybe I do 1 high carb day, I do a low carb day, and then I do half a day where it's some carbs up until noon, and then the rest of it I do lower carb, and then I do a high carb day or something like that. I just do it to where I'm intentional about knowing what day it is so that when that day comes, I can enjoy myself and not feel guilty. But again, in moderation, right? We're not going overboard and having like all the sugar and desserts in the world, but it still gives you permission to, if you want some like sweet potatoes with your meal because everybody else is and you're having a steak or something, that's awesome. Go and enjoy it. That's part of life. You need to enjoy your food, enjoy your experiences with your friends and family and everything like that. So that's personally how I do carb cycling, and that's why I do it. Now, I've done other diets in the past, and they work. I'm not saying they don't. They just didn't fit in with my lifestyle. They required a lot of prep on the front end, whether it was having to weigh my food to know specific what macros I was eating. And again, I'm just telling you, they worked. If you want to see results, you can see results with a lot of these other diets. But when I was done having to come off them, I didn't want to continue to weigh my food. Like if I go out to eat, I know in my head what the portion size is, but I'm kind of one of those people who, if I don't know for sure exactly what it was, I will freak out mentally because, oh my goodness, what if it was 45 grams instead of 35? And oh, that ruins, my whole, it just didn't work for me. We travel so much, the amount of prep it took on the front end didn't make sense for the long term, the effect that it was having on my mental stress and even the stress I had throughout the day eating. I wasn't enjoying it as much, and food should be enjoyed. Paleo, it can be great for you. Again, I'm not saying this is the end all be all. Any diet that you can stick to and be consistent with and be healthy with, again, eating nutrient-dense foods that are healthy, lower in sugar, that's awesome, and that should be the diet that you personally stick to. I've just found that this is the one that I can do, and in everyday life, while I'm traveling without having to drastically plan ahead and change and alter my entire life or travel plans to fit according to how I want to eat specifically. Now, we do call ahead for restaurants, make sure they have healthy options and everything like that, but it's not, having to weigh my food and everything. Last but not least, I will say with carb cycling that I've found is because I'm not weighing everything, because I don't know specifics with what I'm consuming, the results that I've seen have happened over a longer course of time. Okay, there are diets where you can look and see drastic results in, let's say, 12 weeks. This could be that for you, depending on how much weight you have to lose. This may not be that for you, but I know your body will consistently change over a long course of time, and that means that it has a better chance of staying and keeping those changes and making them lasting changes because it's not a drastic shift back and forth. Your body's had time to acclimate and make that its new normal. So you're actually creating sustainable changes over a longer period of time, and even your habits are more sustainable because you're living your life. You're not being, overly concerned or consumed with what you're eating and where you're going and everything like that. So it's about being, you want to be intentional, but you want to enjoy and live your life. So that's carb cycling in a nutshell. Let me know if you have any questions. I'll try to answer them. See you later.